Hey, this is Jarrett wearing my gear watch like always, counting my steps and monitoring my calorie intake.
Bryce Lansing wearing my Fitbit watch, doing the same damn thing.
How did you compare?
And Joshua Be Easy wearing nothing on my wrist and just a fat ass nigga. And this is the Takeoff Anytime podcast. So, I was reading some articles the other day. Well, today actually. Okay. And I was watching a video of Dr. Ayana. Okay, she was basically with the former NBA star Jason Maxiell, who used to play for the Detroit Pistons. Mm-hmm. In this clip of the episode, he had admitted to his wife that he has cheated on her over 50 times over the course of their marriage. Damn. And the caption had said that he has been with over 341 women in his life. Now, I don't even see how the hell you can keep track of that shit after the first.
What kind of little black book do you have?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. 300.
It's not a little black book.
You know, but it also kind of made me think of, why do NBA players always gotta broadcast how many women they slept with? Like Wilt Chamberlain, they say he's been with over 500 or some shit.
Because it's amazing.
And no kids.
I wouldn't just say that, though. I mean, whenever you think of that, I always think of like Gene Simmons.
Yeah, that's true.
Famously citing that he had slept with over 1,000 women, and Ric Flair.
Yeah, Ric Flair.
Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Who both, by the way, stand by, have said in interviews that they believe that those numbers are genuine numbers. I mean, when you think about going from town to town, though.
Yeah, and like I remember my brother before, saying his number, and I'm just sitting there looking like really, nigga? Like you really fucked that many bitches?
Yeah.
But it's just really interesting how status can affect your sexual opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say the more popular you are, the bigger your status, whether it's power, money, just popularity and all, overall, it's definitely going to open up doors for you to sleep with more people. And I guess in a man's case, more women. It always goes back to that.
Or men.
Or man, yeah, whatever's your flavor. But it goes back to that whole thing we guys said a couple episodes ago about women, in a sense, love power. They're attracted to power, And the thing is, when you have that type of status, you're definitely going to get it, Or you could just be suave enough to
very charismatic,
to bag these girls or dudes, whatever.
Funny thing about that, not to get off on a tangent, but we were talking about that earlier. First off, I don't think it's all women before anybody attacks me, but I do think that there are women who are obviously attracted to power and money.
Oh,
and I was thinking about that, and you don't...
Men too, though.
See, that's what I was going to say. You don't see it as often, or you don't hear about it as often.
You don't see it as often.
But men have their own side of the coin where, men, it's more about the physical attraction, I think.
Big ass and titties.
And that's across the spectrum, whether you're poor or rich.
Right.
No, that's definitely true. I mean, I've slept with a decent amount of women. I think,
Indeed.
I don't think I'm nowhere near Ric Flair.
You should say the number and then we can bleep it out like a cuss word.
Right. 347. No, I'm playing with you. God, that would not be that much.
Shit.
69.
No,
at the age of 29, having slept with that many women, that's be crazy.
Yeah. Shocking enough, and I tell people my number, they're somewhat impressed. But to me, it's not high at all because I've run into dudes who tell me numbers.
I really want to know now. Cool. So you either need to text it to me or say it, or we'll just laugh.
I mean,
as of right now, at least as far as last time me and him spoke, my number was higher than his number. But our numbers really aren't nowhere near as high as a lot of our friends.
No, not even close. Well, that's not true. Depends on what friends we're talking about.
All right, you need to text me because I need to know his number.
My number is in the 20s.
Yeah,
my number's in the 20s.
I thought you were gonna say higher than that or something.
No, as I said, it's not.
It's not nothing stellar, or something to brag about.
It's not, because, I often think about why I have that number as well. You know what I'm saying? Because I talked to a few people and they say, they like to call me a hoe or something. But I mean, that's that I've started having sex when I was 16. So that's what, I don't know, let's just say roughly 24 girls over the course of 13 years. You know what I'm saying? That's not really a lot if you think about it.
Yeah, but you were, well, the thing with that, you were in a couple committed relationships, at least 2 committed relationships that I know of.
That is true.
That means that, you know, you almost have to subtract those 2 and say, okay, how many has it been since then? Because you might have, you know, let's say 20 overall, but the last 18 of those were all in the last 3 years. You know, that's a different story than 18 divided by 12.
That's kind of
15 years.
What it is for his situation.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Okay, minus my first, I guess, like real relationship, like long-term relationship when I was engaged, and then my actual marriage.
He doesn't want to say it on the podcast, but it was to me.
Yeah, it was. I was swinging for both sides for a while. No, it's like minus those. And it wasn't like once I broke up with them, you know, I had to make up for lost time. It's just
I didn't look at it that way.
Yeah, well, I think that's what some people, you know.
I feel like you're adding that like as a qualifier, but like
yeah, I mean, I don't know, man, because it's really hard to talk about it for me a lot of times in terms of a certain amount, like a certain range of women that I had, you know, like the number range at a certain point. You know what I mean? Because it goes into the, so I'm gonna be very open, I guess, on this episode. Very open, and I'll probably switch it over to reasons why. But yeah, a lot of, I mean, man, yeah, it's hard to say, man. Like, because I've told people before, and then it's funny because some people are just like, oh, whatever, you know what I'm saying. Then other people look at me like I'm the scum of the earth. But yeah, I definitely cheated before on my ex, you know, and it wasn't something that I'm proud of, you know. Definitely not something that I brag about. This is why people never hear me talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I would never just be like, and I'm not putting it on our podcast so people can be like, oh man, like, you know, good for him. Like, I don't want people to think that was a good, like when I cheated, I was maybe at the lowest level of my life.
Right.
You know, mentally, emotionally, like I just wasn't stable. You know, like as I said on this podcast before, I was in a marriage where we weren't having sex. You know, for 6 months, 7 months at a time, and me coming up and just saying like, hey, this is bothering me. You know, like I got to the point where I would text her and I would tell her like, look, I am starting to go online. I'm starting to talk to girls. You know, like I've even been online, like webcamming with girls, you know, and some people tell me that was a form of cheating, you know.
To some. Yeah,
to some degree. I agree, you know, because one of my closest friends, she even said that. She was like, you know, just the emotional aspect you were cheating. You were cheating emotionally before you even started doing everything, you know, and I try to justify it as saying, well, I was hurting. You know what I mean? I was in a relationship where I was complaining that this was not happening, and every time I said it, like she never, like it felt like she never cared, you know, like I don't know if I said it, like when I approached her around Christmas, and I literally told her, hey, I'm going online and I'm saying this. She goes, you know, how dare you tell me during Christmas, you know how much I love Christmas, how much it means to my family. Why would you say it right now? And I was like, how were you upset about Christmas? And I'm literally telling you, I'm about to leave and go find a girl to have sex with, and you care about gifts. And she's like, you know, anything you have, you can take your gifts back. And I have the text I keep the text messages because it's just like, it blows my mind to this day, you know. And I wasn't even cheating at that point.
It blows my mind just hearing you speak about this again.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I'm always so torn behind it. Like, you know, on one hand, I feel like a horrible person for ever cheating. You know, like exactly when it happened, how many times it happened. You know, like I felt horrible every time. You know what I'm saying? Like it got to the point where I wouldn't even want to be in the same bed with her because I felt like, damn, like I just fucking, you know, I went back on my vows. But at the same time, I go, well, damn, wasn't she going back on her vows by not even like being sexually involved with me? Like even to the point where I was breaking down, crying, punching walls, and sending text messages talking to her mom, her parents, her friends, my mom, everybody trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And I didn't have a resolution to the point that I just broke down. And it's just like, it doesn't justify my actions. But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. So I guess when it happened, when it happened, obviously I didn't say anything. I don't even know if she knows to this day. She might hear this podcast and go, oh, shit, really? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to involve anyone else's name who may have known, at the time.
Mm-hmm. You know who you are.
Yeah. If you want to keep your name silent, I'm not going to bring it up. But it's one of those things just like, I don't know. I don't know if I should feel bad or if I should feel justified, like I took some type of power back. Because when I did it, I felt almost empowered in a sense. I felt like I'm fucking not controlled anymore. But at the same time, I felt horrible, like, damn, I'm married, So, and it's this thing, like, I've always said, like, you have to be careful when you're in a relationship with someone because you'll keep pushing them. You'll keep pushing them to the point where they cheat. Now, these celebrities, it might be a little different for them because, you have the chance, you have the avenues. People, you have these girls who just flock to you. I wasn't finding girls who were just flocking to me. Yes, I've always had girls who were like, I want to sleep with you, and I've always been like, look, got a ring, can't do it, and I walk away. But at some point between the moments of me taking off my ring when I left the house, or me not even wanting to put it on before I went to work, at some point I broke. At some point I just said, I don't know, I can't go on like this anymore.
So not to make it sound worse, but more to paint a picture. So would you feel it's fair to use the word premeditated?
See,
it wasn't the heat of the moment. It wasn't somebody from work. It was.
I think it was more a ignoring of the signs. Like he was crying out. He reached out for help multiple times, and she failed to answer.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the reason. I'm talking about the cheating itself. It's not something that was like. It wasn't just a matter of convenience. It was you knew you were going to cheat when you left the house. When it first happened, I don't want to go exactly into detail because confidentially for the people involved.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I'm fine with just a yes or no if that's what you want.
So but I'll try to be as detailed as possible. So when it happened, it was such a spur of the moment. I can blame it on alcohol. I can blame it on, just not caring, being depressed. Yeah, I can blame it on everything though. But honestly, I thought about it. After getting in the shower and trying to literally wash off this fucking disgust that I had, I kept thinking, like I wanted it. Like I wanted that to happen. This is what I wanted. I wanted someone to make me feel attracted, someone to make me feel like I was wanted. And in that moment, I felt it. And I remember after the first time I did it, I was like, okay, never again. I'm just never going to bring it up. I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm just going to shut my mouth and act like it never happened. I went to the hospital. I got checked, make sure everything was fine. I didn't do anything with my ex at the time. I was like, no, because if I get something, at least I'm man enough to not pass it. You know what I mean? But then I remember
I got a question.
Yeah.
So was that hard not to do?
What?
Because if you were already not having sex, and when you said that you wasn't going to have sex with her until you knew if you had anything or not, was that a hard thing? Like, was she trying to have sex with you during that short time period before you went and got checked?
See, I don't think she was really trying, but it was one of those things like I wasn't, like no longer was I trying to make advancements on her anymore. I wasn't asking her anymore.
Right.
Like I completely, like I even, like I used to, like I remember she used to sit on the couch a lot of times, sleep on the couch, and I would sleep in the bed. And then I remember I used to always go, oh, hey, babe, you want to get in the bed, blah, 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 And I remember I stopped doing that. And then when she laid in the bed, I stayed in the other room. Like I did everything to stay away from her until I knew exactly what had happened.
Right.
But I remember some time after that, I, went out. I'm not going to say for exactly what date because that's going to pinpoint exactly. But I went out and I expected to have, some sex with her, but that didn't happen. So that night I went out. Once again, I was just in that mood where I was like, I have a condom, fuck it.
Whatever
You know,
happens, happens.
Whatever happens, happens. And after the second time, I started getting I felt like I was falling into a rhythm where I knew I didn't care anymore. Like I knew, like, fuck, I want my marriage to work, but at this point, I'm not sacrificing my happiness anymore for a woman who doesn't want to be with me. And I even went over thoughts in my head. I was like, if she comes to me, if even she finds out, what's she gonna say? She's gonna say, "I can't believe you cheated on me," because I have accused her plenty of times. She's gonna be, and all the times you accuse me, now you're the one cheating. And I'm gonna go, yeah, but I'm the one who fucking spoke up.
Yeah.
I'm the one who said everything possible to get you to realize that I was fucking hurting this bad, and you refused to be with me. It's the same thing we said before. Like, sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself, even if that includes your body.
Right.
Like we're married. Who else am I fucking supposed to be getting this from? This has been damn near a year. I can't take this. And some people, they could be like, oh, well, you should have just left. Because I even went on this app was called.
Hold on. Did you say almost a year?
Yeah, I'm not having sex. Sleep. I mean, literally seeing her every day.
That's why I never blamed you for cheating.
I didn't know it was that long.
Well, at that point, I remember I feel like a bad friend, kind of, because from now that I look at it and I told you these things, when you were telling me these things, like, I was kind of egging you on, you know what I'm saying? Because a year without no sex, fuck that. I was telling you this at 6 months. 6 months with no sex. Shit, I break down after a fucking week.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
the thing is, never mind whether or not it's looked at as right or wrong, and I'm sure that women who watch this will say are more likely to say that it's wrong.
Of course,
but I don't care who you are in any relationship, man or woman or gay or whatever, gay or straight. If you're going, that long without sex, I say if you're going a month without sex,
month,
something's wrong.
Yeah,
something's wrong, big time.
In your
and
relationship.
It sounds to me not to try and defend cheating in and of itself, but it sounds to me that you tried addressing it. You knew, you acknowledged that there was something wrong,
right? And
that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and I said it before on this podcast. I said, I don't even read books like that. I'm just not really like a reader.
Right.
I read a fucking book called The Sex Starved Marriage. A great book. If you're going through it, read the book. And I begged her to read this book.
Right.
I said, please just read this book, because this book explains everything that I'm feeling right now. So she didn't read the book. I bought her the book, didn't read it. I said, hey, there's a seminar on TED Talk by the same women who talks over the subjects of her book. Will you want to watch it? No, doesn't want to watch it with me. Do you want to go to therapy, and talk about this? No, I don't want to go to therapy. And I just kept thinking, like, okay, well, if it's to that point, what can I do? And the crazy thing is, I went on this app called Whisper. I remember, and when I first cheated, I said, I cheated on my wife because I was, hurting, and I said all that, and then all these random people were like, "You're the worst person ever. How dare you? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just leave?"
You said that on the app?
I said it on the app.
So is Whisper like you say?
It's like an anonymous
you
thing.
You confess things anonymously, and people reply.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I remember everyone, like hundreds of people, came at me and was like, "You're the worst person ever. You should fucking die face down in a puddle." Like literally shit like that.
Really?
And I
Sounds
was
like a bunch of trolls.
Yeah, but
or people that have never gone through a hard relationship.
Exactly. And I kept thinking, like, but damn, maybe you don't get it. Maybe you don't, because I used to think that way. I used to think people who cheated were the worst people. I was like, how would you do that?
Agreed.
Right.
I was the same way.
Yeah. And then when I went through it, it was like, I get it. Not that it's justified, but fuck, I get it. You know what I mean?
But
sorry.
Like you were saying, there's different levels to cheating. Like,
agreed.
Just so that you don't be the only one talking about cheating on this episode. I remember back when I did it when I was younger. It was kind of like, why would the celebrities who cheated just because we could,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, we had the attention from these other women coming at us. I don't really know if I was in a bad place in my relationship, to say that I did it because of neglect or rejection or something like that. It was just, I could. The girl was there, and I did it. So, in that regards, if someone was to tell me that, I'm the worst person ever and all that kind of stuff, I can kind of understand them saying that towards me because I just did it. You did it for a reason. Right. You gave multiple warnings of, hey, I need this or this is going to happen. And she ignored you. You know what I'm saying? What do you expect to happen if you're going 90 miles on a highway and there's a big flashing sign that says slow the fuck down and you don't and you crash and die?
Yeah, that's true.
That's just what happens.
So let me ask this just for clarification and to play devil's advocate a little bit. So, you went to her, you said that, you had the book, asked her about the seminar, asked about counseling, if I heard you right.
Mm-hmm.
Was there ever any point from the beginning to the end where she came to you and tried to get you to do those things?
No, it was all me trying to do that. The one thing she did do is she wanted to go to this couples it's like a getaway thing. I can't remember. But I didn't want to do that,
Do you feel now, looking back at your relationship, that was your missed chance?
No, but here's the thing. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. Because I just wanted to go to
Oh,
therapy.
so you did it?
Yeah, it was a couples retreat. That's what it was. A couples retreat.
Okay.
And I did it. I didn't want to because I was like, no, I don't think that's good for us to be around other couples like that. I just
pretending that everything's okay when it's not.
Exactly.
Right.
I was like, I just want us in a room with one person, to figure this out. But she's like, no, this is better. So I went. It was
So when she did ask you, you complied.
Yeah, I went because I was trying to save my marriage, what I'm saying? And this is before I cheated, And I remember it was one of those it was a couple breaking points in the marriage, not to make her seem like the villain of this story. But I remember during there, we were going back and forth and we had this one couple that went first and you had to talk about, what you don't like about your other partner or something that's bothering you. And then the dude was like, I wish you would have more conversation with my family. I wish we would have more sex, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? And then his girl said something, just as relevant. I went looking across from her and I go, I really wish you would talk to my mom more and I want to have more relations with you, sexually. And she said, okay. And I remember her reply was, she said, I hate that you drag your feet in the house. Yeah. I remember to this day, it's clear as day, because it made me think, is that it? Is that your big gripe? Because now when I think about me cheating, I always go back to that. Why do I care if I cheat on a person who only cared if I slid my feet in the house? If that was your big reason, after everything I've done, after all the sacrifices I've made, after being here for you day after fucking day, changing my life, trying to focus just on yours, doing all this shit, putting my dreams on hold. You care about me dragging my feet in the house.
Yeah, because likely there's one of two scenarios there. Either one, that's true and it really is the biggest gripe, and seems kind of strange given the outcome of the marriage. Mm-hmm. Or two, she lied and didn't want to say it either because she couldn't say it to you or didn't want to say it in front of others.
Mm-hmm. Right. Which maybe and here's the thing. Here's the thing with me and cheating overall. So I've obviously watched people online because after you cheat, if you have somewhat of a decent conscience or heart, you go online, you try to figure out other people who did it. You try to figure out why people have done it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you do. And it's funny. I come around a forum and I've noticed there's a lot of dudes who are in sexless relationships. Mm-hmm. And we all had the same story. We're just like, we went, and some dudes was like, I went 10 years without having sex. Then eventually I just cheated. I couldn't take it anymore. And I kept thinking, well, damn, if we're all going to be in the same situation like this, and does it even matter at this point?
See, that's a huge thing is, it sounds like a dick thing to say, but sex is an important part of a relationship. I can't speak for women, but men in general, myself especially, don't want to be the ones trying to initiate sex every single time. We want to know that it's a two-way street and that that our partners wanted it as well, they're not just doing it for us for the sake of us.
Yeah.
Right.
The reason I bring that up is because I ask, when you would try to initiate, would she just shut it down or did you not try to initiate? I'm sure after a certain point you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was so many, I got shut down so many times. To the point where I would
stop trying.
I would stop trying, or I would make a very weak effort. I'd be sitting on the couch, tap her leg, hey, you want to do something?
But during that period of which you guys weren't, having intercourse or relations, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, like she didn't really ever try to initiate anything with you.
Yeah, never. You know, I mean, of course, there was other
Which
things.
over a period of 11, 12 months is a lot.
It's a long ass time, you know, and you know, I will, you know, I understand we had different.
Even
things.
Sarah's trying to hop on me at that point.
Yeah, it's crazy because, you know, I mean, of course, there were things, you know, we were living in a different state. You know, she had a new job. She, you know, she may have thought that I was in coerce with my friend's wife for some reason. I don't know why, even though I've known them pretty much like my whole, like since I was 19. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't do that, you know, especially to my best friend. That's one thing about me. I'll never, not to say I'll ever cheat again, but you're saying like the thought to cheat with my best friend's wife has never crossed my mind. You know what I'm saying? Not even a little bit. I don't care.
Yeah, that's a whole different level.
Yeah, I don't care how good your wife looks. I don't care what she does. Even if she comes on my back and she rubs my shoulder, like it's just not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things like, so I understand all those things that have, all those things may have been in play in her mind, but it still doesn't give you a right if I'm doing everything else to just neglect me that much, you know. But I would say this to kind of steer in a kind of odd, weird direction. Like another thing I don't do is I don't try to force people to cheat. The funny thing is, after my marriage, I actually slept with a girl who cheated on her husband with me. You know, and it's funny because when I was very young and first started having sex, I actually slept with someone who cheated on their boyfriend. And I remember when we finished, they cried. You know, and in my head, I went, you know, why are you crying? You know, and, you know, she just couldn't believe the fact that she had cheated.
Yeah.
And I felt emotional at the time, but it wasn't like, it didn't really click. And I remember I called her up one day and I apologized to her. I said, you know, I should have never put you in that position. You know what I'm saying? Because now...
Because you didn't know, right?
Because I didn't know how I felt. So now when I cheated, it was a little bit after I cheated, I called her and I told her, you know, and I said, I understand why you cried. I understand how horrible I made you feel in that situation. You know, and I'm sorry, you know. But then you find other women who I slept with who cheat on her husband who were like, I know he's cheating on me, so I'm going to cheat on him with you. And it's like, does it justify the fact that he's already cheating, that it's okay that you cheat with me? You know? So I don't know, man. It's a weird game. And I think it all depends. It all comes down to that person. Like, how do you feel after it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no one wants to be defined as a cheater. And I guess two wrongs don't make a right. But, I mean, is happiness the end game, you know, in all of this?
I would think so. Because, I mean, I can talk about my situation when I was with someone who was cheating on their longtime boyfriend. At the time, you know, when we were doing what we were doing, I felt bad for him because at the time I kind of felt like I was getting the better half of her than he was. You know what I'm saying? I felt like she was being honest with me, you know, regardless of the situation. I felt like she was being open with me, you know, and like I remember what was like really grimy on her behalf at the time was it was her boyfriend's birthday, and she brought me a piece of his cake.
God dang.
You know, and the cake was a delicious ass cake. Give it down. I appreciate it.
That's horrible.
But it was his cake, you know, and she made that cake custom made for him, you know, and I ate that cake and that cake was so damn delicious, but it was just one of them hard things to swallow. Like, damn, this is kind of fucked up that we're doing this, you know. But besides from being that, the nigga in me was like, being a side nigga is awesome.
Yeah, it's a weird situation you be in, right?
Yeah, it's great because you ain't gotta wake up to the stanky breath. You ain't gotta wake up to. You ain't gotta deal with the problems. You ain't gotta deal with none of the family. None of that. You know what I'm saying? You get good conversation. You get the food that's supposed to be for the other person. You know, and you get sex. Great sex at that. You know what I'm saying? Because when you have sex with a person that's not officially yours,
right?
You know what I'm saying? This is that excitement, that taboo. You know what I'm saying? That excitement that's not yours. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I'm sure that they have that same level of excitement because it's taboo from their standpoint too.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know, especially from them because, you know, especially if you're really feeling the other person, you know, then it's like it's something new. Especially when you've been in a long relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Sleeping with anybody new is always
Yeah, it's always
refreshing and new and exciting.
that's true though. I agree with that.
You know, but back to what I was saying. You know, what I'm saying like although it was a great situation for me, you know, as a side guy, you know, I felt terrible, you know,
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah, because you finally realize like what you're doing.
Right.
Like it's good for you in the moment, but you got to think about that person. You know, like I said, like that second girl I slept with, the married woman, it didn't affect me that much because I knew her husband was a dirtbag, and it was kind of like, okay, you're just using me to get back at him. Fine, whatever. Even if you don't tell him, whatever. You know what I mean? But that first time, that made me feel like the worst.
See, what I don't like, and this is just in general, I don't know, I don't think this was applicable to either of you guys. I know it wasn't applicable to me in my case, but I know somebody who is in an open relationship, and she is pursuing this guy, and this guy has a wife and a kid. And as far as I know, they are not in an open relationship. As far as I know, her intention is to sleep with him, knowing well that he has a wife and kid that he is more than likely cheating on. And for me, I think that a whole nother level is brought into it when there's kids involved, because that's where you jump from, okay, cheating to being a homewrecker, in my opinion. I'm not saying that people that cheat are bad, or people that, you know, sleep with people who are cheating are bad, obviously, because ultimately humans are fallible.
Right.
You know, I don't feel good about my experience. I don't think you guys feel great about yours. But it's one of those things that if you have the wherewithal to pull yourself out of that situation, which that's more than half the battle right there, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
If you have the wherewithal to pull yourself out of that situation, you should, if you can.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for somebody watching this to be like, oh, you know, there shouldn't be any if you should. You just should. You know right from wrong. It's not that easy in the moment.
It's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
That's why I say everything I say is with zero judgment, but at the same time, cooler heads prevail.
Right. And you're exactly right, because when
Both heads, by the way.
stupid. Like, even
That's
before
a very good point to say that. Both heads.
before I actually cheated, I remember I debated it a long time. You know, and it's messed up because it's almost premeditated. You're right. It's almost premeditated.
Well, but there's a difference between being conscious and subconscious. And the reason I say that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but for me, I thought about it, but it was still subconscious because I hadn't planned on it that day. And yes, you think about it, but at least for me, it's not like I sat down and had a deep conversation with myself about it. You think about it. You think about it for a second a day, and then you think about it for 5 seconds the next day, and then you think about it for 10 seconds the next day.
And I think when you think about it being premeditated, like you don't plan on cheating.
Right.
Well, you don't plan on cheating that day, is what I'm saying. But you do think about, in your mind, you start thinking about other people, and then you think about, if this was to happen, would I stop it?
Right.
And then you tell yourself no. And that's how it's premeditated.
The moment's very different, though.
See, and the crazy thing, I've had moments lead until, like, I remember I would talk to this girl, and I would meet her at the bar, and I wouldn't wear my ring. And the crazy thing is, this actually happened. I wasn't wearing my ring, and I remember, like, something before it got too far. I was like, look, I had to be honest with you. I'm married. I'm just going through a really bad time right now. You know what I'm saying? And I put out my ring, and I put it on. You know what I mean? And I remember she was like, oh, okay. And then she took her ring out of her pocket and put it on. You know?
This was the married girl?
No, this was a totally different girl. Well, she's married, but this wasn't the one I slept with.
Okay.
It was just a girl I was talking to. And I remember I go, fuck.
So you both had gone there with the same intention.
Yeah. So, you know.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like a fucking movie, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
Like maybe a Hallmark movie, but a movie.
It does,
Wow.
but it shocked us so bad. Like, we never hooked up. You know what I'm saying? We actually just became friends. You know, but we both confided in each other after that. We were just like, kind of like, hey, this is happening, you know. And then she told me her story as well. We kind of confided in each other. And I remember, like, I did that, and I remember, like, wow, okay, I'm strong enough to stop myself. Then I remember, slowly but surely, I stopped pulling the ring out of my pocket when I was talking to girls, you know. And then to the point where, you know, the girl I officially ended up messing with knew I was married.
Yeah.
You know, but at that moment I just didn't care.
Well, and I think a lot of people, like that girl and then the girl that I know, is it's easy to think it's like the other person is a adult. I'm not responsible for the bad decisions they make.
Right.
And technically that's true. You know, somebody else cheats, that's not directly on you, but I also feel like, you know, especially in the case of the person that I know, that, you know, it's you're still enabling them to cheat. That's kind of like if somebody drives home drunk and gets a car accident and die. Yeah, you weren't the one behind the wheel, but if you handed them the keys,
Exactly,
or if you knew they were driving drunk, that's still going to weigh on your conscience.
And that's exactly something I actually wanted to bring back to you, because you actually did bring up a good point. Sometimes you do know the person that's cheating, you know. And I remember I was in a situation where I knew of a person who was cheating, you know, way before I did it. You know what I'm saying? And I was thinking, is it my place to say anything? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it really my place to say anything? Maybe it's best. Actually, I was in a situation not too long ago, and I told Josh about it.
I think we actually had this conversation.
Yeah,
off
I think we
camera,
might. Yeah, actually,
because
we all had this
I
conversation.
told you about my friend.
Yeah. And so we might. So yeah, just to recap on that, it's like, do you say something? You know, and then speaking from a person from my experience, it's like, is it better for them to be ignorant to the situation?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
And that's an interesting topic in and of itself. Kind of to rehash the conversation, because it was off camera. In my situation, one of my friends was cheating, but the person that he was cheating on, it was somebody else that I also considered a friend. And so I felt like I had to lie to one friend in order to let the other one cheat, as opposed to, you know, it wasn't just like, oh, this is some girl that I hardly know. It was somebody who was my friend too. So like it was a kind of a lose-lose for me. If I kept it to myself, then hey, I was letting him do his own business, but I was willfully letting his girlfriend at the time be cheated on. But if I said something, then I'm interjecting myself into something that's not directly my business.
Right. Which is a tough position to be in.
Because like, you know, the person I know that, you know, going with the example that's in an open relationship, I don't know the guy that she's with. I don't know his family. So it's easy for me to not, it's not my job to interject, to feel like it's not my job to interject, because I don't know them. I have no personal relationship with them.
Right. That's real. And it's crazy how you have to play that moral line.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do you do what you feel is right and risk, like, you know, in this case, you would have risked your friendship.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
and it's funny because it's so easy for people that have never been in that position to draw a hard line. But if anybody who's in that position, and I dare anybody who has been in that position to disagree with me, it's not an easy line. It's not so easy to line to draw.
It's not. It's not. I think I used to have conversation with people, and I used to say that there's a couple different type of cheaters that I know of. There's people, you know, I don't know exactly the number, but the number changes sometimes. But it's like there's just people who are just cheaters. That's just in their DNA. They just do it, you know.
Right.
Then there's people who cheat out of necessity. I guess I'm more of the person that's in that situation.
Right.
You know. And then I guess there's just people who cheat, you know, given a certain circumstance.
Circumstantial cheaters.
And I think
Yeah.
those ones, granted that anybody can cheat in circumstance, but I would agree with that. I think that there are people who are just born cheaters, and then I think there are people who generally cheat, you know, once and done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they feel so guilty about it. I do agree though that with that middle one, you know, out of necessity.
Yeah, because it's like you don't want to, but it's like I'm to this point. What you know?
You almost need the affection.
You do. You need the affection.
You need it, and
Well,
you're not receiving it from.
And it's so, you know, I keep going back because I always think about like what people watching this are thinking. And I always think that people are like, well, you don't need to have sex. And it's like, if you're in a relationship, sex is an important part.
You need
You
to
need
have
sex.
sex.
Just
Like-
as a person.
Maybe not even.
What's your level 5 MGTOW? Hashtag MGTOWs.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if I would say technically you need to have sex. You need to have intimacy.
Yeah, I can agree with that
Yeah.
because it makes you feel wanted.
Right.
You know.
And sex is the way that us men express our intimacy. So for us, we would say sex from a man's standpoint.
Yeah.
But if we want to look at it in a more general public between men and women, it would be intimacy.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with it, but I think that it applies for both genders. I think that women need sex too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, just as much,
Yeah.
as much. But you know, it's always that idea or that generalization.
Just you always hear men talking about it.
Like
yeah, men need it more than women.
in
yeah.
the situation that let's say in the situation that a man or woman couldn't have sex, like you couldn't do it, you could possibly receive the same fulfillment based off of intimate interactions. That's why I say intimacy.
I can agree with that. You know the crazy thing is, and I hope I don't sidetrack this too much. I was watching a documentary. It might have been on BBC, right? And it was these two people, this man and this woman. This is a couple. I think they had like cerebral palsy. Is that their disease? Like when you're like confined to a wheelchair. I'm pretty, they couldn't really move their own limbs. Mm-hmm. And I remember they was like, yeah, we enjoy each other. We love talking, and riding around, And they got to the point where they were talking about having sex, right? Now, in order for these two people to have sex, they actually have to pay for people like nurses, or I forget the actual name, and I'm sorry to call them nurses. I just don't know what their actual name is at this point. But they have to come in, and they have to arrange their bodies, given on certain commands that these people give them. Like, hey, okay, I want my leg to be over her leg, and they have to move it, and they go away from the bed, and they come back. Say, okay, I want my face to be 2 inches closer, and they move their face 2 inches closer, and then eventually they help these people have sex, right? So the whole point of them moving these people is not this big thing, but the whole thing that really kind of got to me was the fact like these people who are, I guess you say, physically like confined to a wheelchair, unable to do the natural stuff that we do, still want intimacy just as bad, that they would pay someone thousands of dollars an hour just for like, they only have sex every 4 months because
they can't afford it.
They can't afford it, but like that's how important that it is.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, so it's crazy to me that some people are just like, you don't need sex. Like, no, these people. And it's not that, I don't think it's just they want it to be quote unquote normal. Like I think they wanted to experience that level
of
intimacy like everyone else can. Mm-hmm. Well, not everyone else, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I guess generally speaking.
Well, I think the main point there is that sex is almost universally desired no matter what your path in life. Mm-hmm. I say almost because there's asexuals and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Level 5 MGTOWs.
Yeah, but we're one of the only animals who actually live monogamous relationships.
Right.
Well, aren't we also the only animals that have sex for fun?
I think so. Yep, I think so. I don't know. I see some monkeys.
I think I've heard that either monkeys or dolphins.
I think it's dolphins. I think you're right about dolphins.
I would probably say dolphins just because dolphins are one of the more unique mammals. But
and I know they say dolphins are the only other gay animals. Like they'll have same sex.
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's crazy, right? That's crazy.
Something like
I
that.
want to look it up now.
So
man, can you just take a second for a second? Can you imagine to see some shit like that?
Two dolphins getting it on, like a dolphin. Dolphin orgy.
Two people who can't move themselves, like.
Bro, I'll show you a video.
It's a video of it?
Yeah, I mean, they don't show the insertion, obviously, but they do show you these people having to be moved this whole time.
It's kind of like manic. It's like puppeteer sex or something in a way.
I mean, that sounds horrible.
It does.
But I know what you mean.
Humans, pigs, and it says literally perhaps dolphins.
Okay, we were close.
I'm surprised about pigs.
Yeah, I didn't know about pigs either.
Yeah.
Must be all those nipples.
Making bacon.
Making bacon.
I was going to say something else, but I'll leave it.
Go ahead.
So we call pigs,
but yeah,
pigs in a blanket.
Pigs and other people's blankets. But it does make you think. Like, and I give you that example. Yeah, how important it is. Right. So it makes you think like maybe we're designed to just be out there and having sex with people, and the fact that we're trying to be monogamous is breaking down the natural flow of things.
Well, I guess it depends on what you're talking about natural. Because you talk about like caveman times, then yeah, we're instinctively. About what we want.
Yeah. I would kind of only agree with that just from a biblical standpoint. It's hard for me to. Not hard for me, but it can be argued that God is okay with monogamy or is okay with infidelity, I could say.
Infidelity, yeah.
Okay. Because many prominent names in the Bible had multiple wives.
Yeah, but that's polygamy though. That's a religious practice anyway. I know what you're talking about, like how they're saying like Sam had all
You
these
know,
women.
or Jacob,
But
or Abraham.
Yeah, but if you look at the
or-
Mormon religion, not to stir this into a religion, but
Right.
they a lot of them are, not a lot, but some of them are polygamous. And like in African nations, it's the same way. And it's all because of religious.
Yeah, I didn't know that word. I was trying to think of it. That's why I said
Well,
infidelity.
I want to go back to what you were saying though about whether or not we're meant to be monogamous sexually. Is I think about one of the things I said is that you go back to caveman times and we're very instinctful creatures, and in some ways you could say that the only reason we did become monogamous is out of necessity. If you take away modern forms of love and affection, I think we touched on this a couple weeks ago about people fuck
People fuck.
no people getting in relationships out of necessity because the man was the hunter, the woman was the wood
House
Take
taker.
take the house.
harvester or whatever you
Oh,
want
the
to call it.
gatherer.
Yeah, thank you, hunter gatherers.
Yes, okay.
So the guy would hunt, the woman would gather, and so we talked about this on our MGTOW episode. Is that relationships in the past, granted that's the distant past, were out of necessity. Mm-hmm. That then raises the question: are we monogamous creatures out of habit because we became monogamous creatures out of self-preservation?
That's rough.
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
either.
just that
I would argue self-preservation
I would lean more.
or a
well,
relationship.
no, that's my point.
Yeah.
Preservation.
I think it might be a religious aspect. Honestly,
I don't think it's religion. I think it's because women.
yeah. I guess you didn't want to just die out because no one wanted you.
No, I feel like me saying this was gonna take it to a whole nother episode, but I'll just say it. I think it's because women typically don't want to share. So if we
You're talking more modern though,
yeah,
because when we talk about because polygamy goes right against that,
right,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
polygamy is more old school,
But I do
since
feel
the time.
going with what you said. Oddly enough, I'm going to kind of agree with you.
Okay.
For this reason, I think that men are more likely to want to enter a open marriage or a polyamory or polygamous relationship than a woman would.
Well, yeah,
I would agree.
yeah.
So
I would agree because I actually I talked to a girl I was just talking to, and I was like, "Hey, you ever thought about bringing in some other people?" And she was like, "Not really. I don't really like the whole sharing thing." And I was
Yeah,
like,
and
But even just-
that's the whole ideology of women. Women don't like to share. Women don't want, community dicks.
But even
in
just-
a relationship.
But I mean, even just talking about just conversations I've had in the past with people, just conversation topics. However you get on them, usually guys are the ones that are like, yeah, I'd be more open to having a threesome or something like that than than girls. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I can go deeper into that and thinking probably the wrong word, and thinking that I think there's certain
go deeper.
there's certain there's certain cultures of people that are more open to that, but I don't want to dive too deep into that because I want to get away from the subject at hand.
No.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I don't know. Infidelity is definitely. I don't know if it's out of like I said, it's those three things. This is always going to come down to for me.
Yeah. I don't think that's a bad list. I think that's a good summary.
Yeah, and it's not that either one justifies the action. It's just this is where we're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, damn.
Yeah. So yeah, we got super serious on this one.
Right. Well, I was thinking this would be a topic that if we got some women, we would love to hear from some women that have cheated, especially. I mean, we'll take comments from anybody, but the reasons why men cheat maybe versus the reason that women cheat, and I think a lot of them are going to be similar, such as a failing relationship. I really do think that's going to be part of it. But I guess more so what goes through a woman's mindset when she's either cheating or about to cheat versus a man's. Because I think we delved into that. For us, there's meditation and there's premeditation versus not premeditation, and then even when there is premeditation, I think there's the difference between subconscious and conscious. Because I think if you I think it's more likely to be conscious if it's somebody you've cheated with before. Because at this point, if you call them and say, "Hey, girl, can I come over?"
Oh yeah.
Obviously, you're planning on fucking.
Right.
But if you're, oh hey, let's just go hang out, play video games. Let's hang out and go for a
get some
walk,
drinks or something.
and then go get some drinks, and then
Yeah.
kiss happens,
Yeah.
and then that leads to more.
Yeah, it's
that one's more subliminal, but I'd still say it's premeditated.
Yeah, definitely.
In most cases, because if you're going to drink, get drinks, you're at least
You're
kind
open-
of thinking.
You're
You've
open
thought
to the
about it.
concept of what could happen.
Yeah, modern time, I mean, dudes don't even go out with their friends, girls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only way that it's ever truly not premeditated, I think, is if it's somebody that you really have a platonic friendship with, and then something happens.
Exactly.
Or if it's a random person.
Yeah, or a random person.
True, but that opens it up because if you went to the bar planning on hooking up with somebody,
Yeah, it's
It can be like I said before, you could premeditatedly think about, if this was to happen, would you stop it? And your answer is not a yes, you would stop it. Whether it's a no or a maybe or I don't know.
yeah, but
That's premeditation.
I just mean that a random person isn't going to walk into your house and be like, "Hey, want to fuck?"
Not in your house, but at a bar or a party. You know
well,
what I'm saying? It can happen.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
but-
it depends on why you went to the bar or why you went to the party. If you went to the bar planning on hooking up,
No, but
that's
you don't
subconscious.
you don't have to go there planning to do it.
And that's where it's unconscious or
Yeah.
unmeditated.
but it's
No,
still
no, not at all. Like I said, that's where it's not premeditated. If you just went
no, that's
there,
what I said. That's what I said is that's where it's not premeditated.
yeah, like you're
might
just
have-
going to the bar.
I might have said it wrong, but I'm agreeing with you.
But I think it comes down to the point, like even if it's not premeditated, once it happens, how do you let it go or do you stop it?
that's the real hard question.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Because it's so easy to get to the point of cheating. I think it's what you do after that.
right?
Yep. I think that's the point.
And I think a big difference is whether or not you're caught, to be honest.
Yeah, that's
Because
I see, but I don't know because I was never.
I was caught.
You were caught.
I was caught.
See, I was never caught.
You didn't just talk about it.
Long story short, it was somebody I worked with. And I stayed late after work, and we were sitting in my car or truck. And the person I was with at the time knew that I hadn't come home at my original time, and I was ignoring my phone.
Damn.
And so she came to see what was going on, to see if I was okay. And
She pulled up on you.
I was sitting in the car with somebody else.
Damn.
Oh shit!
Damn, you got caught like a Hallmark movie.
Yeah, definitely.
See, I never got caught. I just
Yeah,
I just had to live with the grief.
Well,
Yeah.
see, and with me, it was a question of if I hadn't got caught, how far would it have gone? And how long would it have continued?
Exactly. That's where I was at. I mean, luckily she broke it up. She broke up with me eventually, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Who doesn't know? Maybe she knew, maybe she didn't,
Right?
It doesn't matter now. These are just words so people can hopefully confide in them and realize that
If you're either thinking about doing it or have done it and wondering if you're alone.
yeah, pretty much. I can't give you an answer of if you should or if you shouldn't or how to feel afterwards. I can just let you know this is how we are. This is how we were.
Right.
So yeah. But I guess on that note, did you feel pretty bad afterwards?
Yes, but even me, if I step out of my own body and think back to it, did I feel bad only because I got caught?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's impossible to truly know. I can tell you how I feel, but it's impossible to truly know. And with me, the way that I felt is no. I didn't feel bad. And I should have.
But what led up to it?
That's where my situation is very different in that I've only ever really been in committed relationships, save for a couple short relationships that weren't so serious. And for me, it was curiosity about the unknown. We've talked about in the past how I was never the type to go to bars and hook up or never hook up with people at parties. And it was, am I going to spend the rest of my life only having ever been with 2 or 3 women?
That's another thing that we didn't speak on. Yeah, people cheating because of curiosity.
Yeah.
Because some people who haven't been that sexually adventurous, may do it out of curiosity.
It's like the stereotypical woman at the bachelorette party who's only ever been with her fiance.
Yeah. I actually had a girl
yeah.
before tell me straight up she wanted to see other people because her number was low.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, for as much as I can appreciate that she just came out and told me, didn't mean it didn't sting just as much.
Yeah.
But I guess in all fairness, at least she came to me and told me. You know what I'm saying?
I think. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, just because we had just talked about mine. The funny thing is, the hardest thing about mine. Oh, here we go. The funniest thing about mine is, I was angry at myself and I felt bad because I didn't feel bad about it.
Damn.
I see.
The reason I said oh is the song "These Aren't Lies" that I wrote. Yes, I'm going to reference my music here.
Do it.
And the reason the title of our album was "Far From the Exception" is because there's a line in there that says, "All the things you thought you'd never become are now looking you in the mirror, but it doesn't feel wrong."
Damn.
And it was about the fact that I had done.
That's good.
I had done something that I knew was wrong, but I didn't feel bad about it, and I never thought I would be that person. And far from the exception is to reference that you may think yourself never to do something like that, but like we said earlier on this episode, until you're in that position,
never know. Damn, that's real. I'm gonna go back and listen to your CD.
that's why we're redoing that song on the
man.
EP.
That was deep.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that sums up a lot there, Bryce. I guess did we touch on how you felt after
I did it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think after I actually did 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
Different women, of course. After the 2 times that I did it, did I do 2 times?
Damn, Josh.
No, I did it 3 times. The first time was in high school. I didn't care. The second 2 times, it affected me so much that I broke up with my girlfriends. The first time, I was with my girl. We got into an argument. I made the argument bigger than what it was. I knew it wasn't even that big, but I was looking for an out because I just felt terrible. I felt that I did it because I wasn't happy and I wanted to be single. I wanted to have more access to other women, and I just wanted to be a whore, So I made the argument bigger than what it was, and I broke up with her.
You wanted the freedom.
Yeah, I wanted the freedom, and I took that as my out. The second time, I had a girlfriend and I cheated on my ex, and then I broke up with my girlfriend and told her that I was in love with my ex, and I talked about that on the podcast before.
Right.
That I was in love with my ex, and I broke up with her. So yeah, the last 2 times I felt bad.
I mean, it's honest though. I mean, sometimes, see, at least you were brave enough to do it. At least you were brave enough to break up. I was just doing it and just sticking around, hoping that it would never came to light. You on the other hand, you got caught, so it's a different situation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it shows three different sides to that. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. You didn't really think. I guess I really didn't think how how real infidelity is, like from all angles. It's different reasons for everything.
Mm-hmm. So I would make a good podcast.
Boom! Check us out more often. Tell your friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wrap it all up.
Yeah. To wrap it up, which I hope everyone did during their cheating affairs.
Do we want to do final thoughts?
Yeah. My final thought is, I don't think you should judge someone's situation at first. You definitely need to figure out why. I'm not saying that infidelity, cheating is right, but if you're going to accuse someone of being the worst person in the world, at least try to identify what puts them in this position. Mm-hmm. So that would be my final thoughts.
My final thoughts would be, I don't think that you should cheat if you have the self-awareness to do it. That being said, we're all human. If you do cheat and you recognize it enough to fix it, don't hate yourself.
Right.
And this is going to be slightly controversial, but if your partner cheats, given the circumstances, I'm not saying, stay with them or anything, but at least try to understand that they're human too.
That's real.
Yeah.
It's real.
To play off what Bryce just said, cheating isn't always a cause; it's an effect, and it could be an effect because of what you do or what you're not doing. So always look at and understand the situation and things that led up to what had happened.
It's real. Yeah, and we're hopefully if you guys like this topic, please let us know, and we'll definitely, more so, I definitely want to talk, touch on the topic of, finding out your partner is cheating and, trying to accept it. I think that's be a good episode for us, but, this is the end of this one, so let us know.
And this is another episode of Takeoff Anytime Podcast. We'd like to thank and appreciate everybody who fucks with us. If you don't fuck with us, oh well, we're going to take off anyway. I'm Josh B. Easy. We out.